Hello, and welcome back to the channel. As most of you know, I'm Topher. And for those of you who don't know and just randomly decided to click on my video, welcome to the channel. I'm Topher. Thank you for stopping by. So we're here to do reaction, and we are continuing reacting to Why Love Why. We are getting into episode 5. In the last episode, it ended with some stuff that happened. Emil and Benjo got down and did the do. And kind of came out of nowhere for me, but okay, that's fine. Sure, whatever, they did things. But then towards the end of the episode, Emil, well, I mean, there was a whole silent awkwardness thing that was happening for like 10 minutes, and that irritated the hell out of me. If y'all saw my reaction, y'all know what I'm talking about. But aside from that, Emil seemed, I don't know, almost like he was starting to regret what happened. Like, it looked like his girlfriend or whatever was calling him while they were at breakfast, and he seemed to just, I don't know, almost like he was regretting and trying to ignore what went down with him and Benjo. And that seemed to really hurt Benjo's feelings, because Benjo came out in the last episode just before they did the do and was like, yeah, I'm gay and I love you. And I'm like, okay, I don't know where the hell this came from. That whole I love you thing kind of came out of left field. Cause I'm like, I don't think y'all been in quarantine that damn long, but okay, whatever, I guess. So we're just gonna dive in and we're gonna see what the hell happens. Oh, the show's PG? Okay, sure. We'll go with that.
Oh, Benjo, ano ginagawa mo? Kompleto na ba yung bibliography natin? Sa palagay mo, ayos lang talaga sa uncle mo na ma-interview natin siya? Kasi para sa akin, okay na yung interview natin sa pinsan ko eh. Ikaw, palagay mo?
Benjo, am I happy?
Hoy, Benjo. Uy, ba't di ka sumasagot? Mas bahala ka nga dyan.
Bakit ba?
Kanina pa ako nagsasalita dito, tinatanong kita kung okay na ba yung bibliography natin.
Ano ka ba?
Anong ano?
Girl, you know what he's saying.
I mean, bakla ka ba? Bay ka ba? You're just playing with me.
Bahala ka dyan. Narinig mo ba yung sinasabi mo?
Oo, naririnig ko sarili ko. Kasi gusto ko rin malaman. Naguguluhan na ako.
Naguguluhan? Naguguluhan saan?
Sa atin! Sa akin. Sa nararamdaman ko. Sa nararamdaman mo para sa akin. Bakit mo kinalikan? Bakit tayo nagdo? Tapos kinabukasan kakausapin mo si Ilona sa harapan ko, sasabihin mo I miss you? Wawa, ayos!
Benjo, bahala ka.
Sadali lang, huwag ka muna umalis, sagutin mo muna ako. Kausapin mo naman ako.
Benjo, tigilan mo ako.
Emil!
I mean, it's fair. He just wants answers. I'd want the same answer. Hell. I've not been in this exact same situation, obviously, but there have been many times when people make whatever advances and then, you know, flip a script. I'm like, bitch, what the hell do you want? Make up your damn mind. Like, I get where you're coming from, Benjo.
Oh, Kelly. Saan ka pupunta? Bakit ang dami mong dalang bag?
Magsha-shopping.
Hindi ka makakaalis. Di ba nakakulong tayo sa building na to?
Bahala na. Susuhulan ko na lang si Mampurot. Yung tanod.
Punta. Uy, di papayag si Ma'am Purot.
Huwag mo nga ako sundan.
Huy! Huy! Saan ka nga kasi pupunta?
Mag-outreach. Ang dami ko na kasing bag eh. Hindi na magkasya sa kwarto. Ipamimigay ko sa mga nagka-COVID. Kailangan nila to eh.
Kelly!
Oh, remember that
Kelly!
campy nature I
Okay
talked
na lang.
about?
Ano ba problema mo? Ba't ka ba sunod na sunod?
That fall was the epitome of camp,
Teka nga,
child.
ano ba kasing gagawin mo sa mga bag na yan?
Eh, di bibenta na naman. Huwag ka na nga magsinungaling kay Emil.
Oo. Ibebenta ko. Dahil wala na akong pera. Narinig mo yun, Emil? Yung mga sinasabi kong signature bags, mga signature na sapatos, lahat yon. Ibebenta ko na.
Kelly, teka lang, umamin ka nga sa akin. Nag-a-addict ka ba?
Wala kang karapatan na husgahan ako. Wala kang alam sa akin. At kahit kailan, hindi ako nakatikim ng drugs. Mahirap kapag tinakwil ka na ng sarili mo pamilya. At ng mga taong inaasahan mo.
Kelly, wag mo ko dinadami dyan sa kalokohan mo, ah.
Bakit? Totoo naman ah. Sinabi sa akin ng mami mo na alagaan ko tong building, nabantayan kita. Lahat ginawa ko. Pero wala akong nakuha na suporta sa inyo.
Kelly, hindi ko kasalanan kung maluho ka.
Luho! Walong buwan na akong walang trabaho, Benjo. Walong buwan na akong walang racket. Sa palagay mo, saan ako kukuha? Hindi na nga ako kumakain minsan, Benjo.
Hindi ko rin kasalanan kung wala kang racket. Eh di magganap ka.
Nakikita mo ba ako, Benjo? Bakla ako! Oo, Emil. Bakla ako. Hindi pa to putol. Hindi rin totoong nananalo ako sa mga pageant. At hindi rin totoong marami akong gamit. Dahil nabenta ko na lahat. Dahil kailangan kong kumain. Kailangan kong mabuhay. Mag-isa na lang ako, Benjo. At wala akong ibang inaasahan. Kundi ikaw at ang mami mo. Mag-isa na lang ako.
Eh bakit hindi ka mag-apply? Ha?
Medyo lahat inaplayan ko. Legal secretary, receptionist, pati pagda-janitor, Benjo. Inaplayan ko. Pero hindi nila ako tinatanggap. Kasi bakla ako. Narinig mo? Kaya kanino ko aasa? Sa inyo. Isa na lang ako. Kaya itong pandemic to.
Oh. Kanino galing yan?
Eh, kay Kelly, binigay sa akin. Negative na kasi ako eh. Sabi niya, suotin ko daw.
Mabuti naman at negative ka na.
Oh,
may mag-aalaga na sa baby natin.
Okay ka lang?
Okay lang ako. Pads, pasensya ka na. Yung pangako ko na walang mamamatay sa pamilyang ito mukhang hindi ko matutupad eh. Pads, ang baby. Huwag mong tanggalin. Huwag mong tanggalin yan. Huwag mong tanggalin. Huwag mong tanggalin yan, Dot. Huwag mong tanggalin.
Hello? Nagsaswap po ba kayo ng cellphone? Samsung S9 Plus po. Kahit po bigyan nyo na lang po ako ng dikipad. Magkano po ang kapalit? Sige po. Pwede po bang sa... Pwede po bang sa rider na lang? Nakalock po kasi yung building namin. Sige po. Salamat po. Deposit? Mrs. Mildred Vicente? ₱500,000?
Child?
Ito ba to? Salamat, baby Jesus!
Sweet baby Jesus, amen.
Thank you, Ma. Pinagbigyan mo ako sa favor ko kay Kelly. I love you.
Lady of the night.
Are you lost, baby boy? Nag-away kayo, no?
Hindi, no?
Oh, nasan siya?
Hindi ko ko alam. Baka natutulog.
Order tayo, libre kita.
Bakit bis na bis ka? Tsaka ikaw manlilibre? Eh wala akong pera.
Ako na bahala kung saan ako kukuha. Sige na, libre kita.
Di na, wag na. Busog
Para
ako.
sa inyo ni Benjo.
Para sa amin? Sige, sige. Teka, akala ko bang may problema ka sa
Basta ako nang bahala. Sky's the limit. Bilis, mag-isip ka na anong gusto mo. Pa-deliver tayo. O order na ako.
Sige, sige. Ano ba yung paborito?
Okay, so I see the Colonel. And I'm sorry, cake. Okay. And is that spaghetti and meat sauce? Okay, so it's a very mixed meal. Seems like digestion issues in the future, but you know, it's fine. It's a thought that counts.
Be. Be. Be, gising ka na, Be.
Ano ba?
Bumangon ka na dyan.
See, last thing
Bakit ba?
last thing you gonna do is wake me up out of my sleep to come eat some food.
Mama ka sa akin, dali.
I mean, I guess my fat ass, yes, I probably eat the food. Yes.
Basta, bumangon ka na.
One reason you could wake me up, but like
Sige
I
na.
barely get enough sleep as is, so like food could have waited until the morning, but you know whatever.
Saan ba?
Basta.
Basta. Storbo mo ko.
Oh, I love his little Mickey Mouse pajamas.
I'm sorry, Be.
So, kumuha niyan? Ay, minsan ka kumuha ng mga pambili ng mga yan.
Secret. Walang clue.
Corny mo, ha?
Be. Sorry na kasi. Sorry na.
Okay.
May wine dito. Wait. Baka ba?
Like I know him saying "be" is just him shortening Benjo, but like I associate it with Bay, and I want him to be calling him Bay.
Dikit siya.
So I'm making more out of this romance than is happening right now, but it's fine.
Wait. Teka lang. Wait mo ko dyan. Tadaan! Mas bagay ata yan dito. Bilis, lagyan mo.
Seryoso ka?
Oo, lagyan mo na ako. Bilis na.
It's a cute little throwback.
Ikaw nagpauso na ito eh.
Tinuruan mo na nga ako, di ba? Pero sige.
Sige. Trip mo to, di ba? Ang dami naman, tama na.
Yan, oh.
Harap. No.
See, my only issue with what's happening right now is Benjo still hasn't gotten an answer. Like, Emil still has to answer the question, like, what's going on between us? So yes, all this drinking and flirting and dancing and whatnot, it's all well and good, it's all fine, and I assume it's gonna lead to some kissing and whatnot. Shirts are coming off. I assume it's gonna lead to some kiss and cuddling and whatnot, but I'm like, Benjo still hasn't gotten his answer yet. He still hasn't gotten Emil to say what it is that he wants and what's going on between them. And I'm afraid that he's setting himself up to get hurt again. The hell? They grating cheese into each other's mouth. Okay. Okay. Ciao. Sexy men and cake. It's like a fantasy. Ciao. And they had the nerve at the top of this to say this was rated PG. PG my ass. No, that is not where you put frosting. That is not what you use frosting for, sir. That's how you get a yeast infection or something. I don't know. Maybe not, but I just feel like that's not what frosting's used for. You nasties. Oh, is that the end? Oh, well that flew by. Okay. Well, I was gonna say I actually enjoyed that episode. I mean, I've enjoyed the last couple episodes that I've watched. Like I mentioned, I think in like episode 3 or 4, one of the two. I think it was like episode 2 or 3. That it was a lot. That I feel like this whole series is a lot more campy in its approach to its storytelling. So me going in with the mindset that it's a little bit more campier of a show, it's not supposed to be taken, everything's not supposed to be taken super duper seriously, not like a super duper serious drama kind of thing, not like your Guys Up Películas or your Game Boys, you know, it's not that kind of thing. It's a lot campier in nature. Things are a lot more lighthearted and, you know, heavy-handed with some of the acting, some of the illustrations, whatnot. So going with it in the mindset that it's a campy kind of series, I've enjoyed it more and more as I've watched it. It's still not my favorite series that I've watched, but I've appreciated it for its campy kind of nature. But this is probably the first episode that I just like sat through and like enjoyed, not with the mindset like, oh, this is a campy kind of show or whatever. Like, yes, there were definitely some campy aspects of it, like that whole introductory Kelly scene where she was trying to get down the stairs with all her bags and then she fell. That fall was probably the campiest thing I've ever seen in my life. That slow motion fall with the over exaggerated it's like child telenovela realness. But yeah, outside of that, like the episode, it touched on some issues that are very, you know, they're very real they're very real. They happen in the real world. They're very prevalent in the real world. You know, discrimination against the LGBTQ community, especially in other countries. Because, like, yes, I'm fully aware of, you know, of how discrimination happens and how it can affect the lives of people here in the States. But I don't live that life in other countries, and I'm sure that there are other countries that have it worse than what we have here in the States. So you know, it's just a peek at what, you know, life might be like in the Philippines for someone who is openly trans, or, you know, technically, yes, they're living their trans life. They may be pre-op, may not have had any kind of physical body modifications to, you know, get the body that they felt that they were supposed to be born with, but they're still mentally, you know, living their trans life. But for people on the outside world, all they see is, you know, that gender that you were born with. So for Kelly, you know, she hasn't had any kind of operation, so they just see her as a gay man, a very gay man who's dressing up in women's clothing, and so she's getting discriminated against, and, you know, people aren't hiring her because, you know, they're discriminating against her sexuality and her flamboyancy and, you know, just what they're perceiving her to be, regardless of how amazing she could be at the job, regardless of how amazing how qualified she may be. Like, it's just based on this one little detail. She's being discriminated against, and to the point where she's not been able to work for months, 8 or however many months they listed here. She's not been able to work. She's not been able to, you know, pay her bills. Sometimes she has to starve. She goes without food because she doesn't have money. She's had to sell her belongings, selling her designer bags, selling her shoes, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And, you know, these are real struggles that people go through. Not saying that every person who's in the LGBTQ community is discriminated against to the point that, you know, they have to sell their stuff and they're starving. But, you know, that could be a reality for a lot of people who, you know, are on the receiving end of a lot of the heavier kind of discrimination. So I like that they touched on that. And the only thing that I really didn't care about in that scene was Benjo constantly, like, pressing, like, well, why don't you get a job? Why don't you go look for a job? Like, I feel like the way they wrote Benjo in that scene, it felt almost like they wrote his responses just for the sake of pulling more information out of Kelly. Not, because, like, for me, and, like, everyone's not going to be me, so, okay, yeah, that's fine. But, like, for me, like, if I were in that scenario and I were Benjo, having Kelly, who is a part of my community, because he just came out to Emil in the last episode saying, yes, I'm gay. And then earlier in the episode, he's like, I'm gay. What are you? Are you gay? Are you bi? Are you what's going on? Why did we kiss? Why did we have sex? What's going on? You know, you're playing with my emotions. So if I were in that situation and I had someone else who was in my community, in my LGBT community, breaking down in front of me right there and, like, just telling me, like, you know, being so raw and honest and open, saying, hey, I'm struggling. I'm on the struggle bus right now. It is so hard out here for me because I can't work. I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to be strong, but I can't. There are times when I'm going without food. I'm going without money. I don't have anyone. My family has abandoned me because of the life that I choose to live, and I don't have anyone, and all I have are you and your mom. Like, if I had someone there just breaking down to me, like, the last thing I'm going to sit there is like, well, why don't you go get a job? Like, you know, just so cold and callous and just kind of, you know, nah. You know, like, it seemed out of, I'm not going to say it seemed out of character, but it felt out of character. Like, it didn't feel like a response that I would expect someone who's going through maybe not that exact struggle, but, like I said, is part of that same community, potentially could face that kind of discrimination. Yes, his family is wealthy and well off, and, you know, he may not have to deal with that, but still, there's this level of whether or not you're in, you know, a high priority kind of celebrity, and, you know, you have some sort of comfort in your money, and, you know, you've got, you know, whatever around you to keep you safe. Like, you know, there's still some level of discrimination that could happen to a certain point. It may not bother you as much. It may not affect you nearly as much as it might affect someone who's not in that kind of position. But still, like, I feel like there would just be a little bit more empathy, a little bit more, you know, relatability to Kelly versus just being this cold person telling her to get off her ass and get a job. Like, I didn't care for that. I didn't care for how they wrote Benjo in that scene. But, you know, eventually he came to his senses, and, you know, he embraced her, and, you know, he did an honorable thing, got his mom to, you know, just send her some money. A hell of a lot of money, but okay, they got a lot of money. But you know, it was a very nice favor that he did for her. And then the scene with Pads and I don't know why I can't remember his wife's name in here. Anna from Guys on Caligula. Like, I can't remember the name of her character in this show, but Pads and his wife, that whole scene was that one was another, you know, very real thing. And it's kind of one thing that I've been worried about watching this ever since the beginning, when they first kind of introduced Pads and the fact that he might have contracted the Rona. I've been worried about the baby. And I'm not 100% sure that, you know, something has happened to the baby. Like, that's where they were kind of leading me to. So I don't know if, like, all the tears and the breakdown there towards the end of that scene was, you know, her breaking down at the thought that something could happen to the baby. Or if something had already happened to the baby and she was, you know, breaking down distraught and he was trying to comfort her. Either way, it was a very, very heavy moment, but very, very real thing, because these are things that probably have happened and could happen throughout any kind of pandemic, but specifically the one we're, you know, living through right now. You know, there are a lot of mothers, a lot of people who became pregnant during the pandemic, who were pregnant before, you know, pandemic broke, and, you know, these are very valid things that could happen, very valid concerns, and it's just another real topic that they touched on. And then the whole interaction there at the end between Benjo and Emil, like I was saying throughout, Benjo still hasn't gotten his answer from Emil. He still doesn't know where Emil stands. Emil hasn't given we didn't address what happened at the end of the last episode. Like, we still haven't addressed that elephant in the room. The fact that, you know, his girlfriend called and then he went off to be, you know, with her, and oh, I'm so happy, I've missed you so much, blah blah blah, and left Benjo there heartbroken. Like, we still haven't addressed that elephant in the room. So I'm afraid that, yes, while this was all nice, all the lovey-dovey touchy stuff that was happening here, it's all nice, I'm afraid that it just might be setting Benjo up for another repeat episode where Emil might come to some other realization the morning after, you know, after the afterglow's faded off and, you know, all whatever, reality sets back in. He might get skittish and run off again. I don't know. We just have to wait and see. But I liked the interaction between Emil and Benjo in this episode, in that last scene. I feel like this felt like a more natural progression towards, like, you know, sexy time. In the last episode, I felt like it came out of, like, left field. Like, okay, we're crying, we're having this big emotional breakdown, and, you know, Benjo's airing his family's dirty laundry and, you know, story time, and then all of a sudden, bam, I'm gay, and I'm sorry I hurt you because I love you, out of left field. And then bam, we're making out, bam, we're having sex, just boom, boom, boom. Like, okay, where the fuck did this come from? Where, like, this, it built a lot more naturally towards the sexy time. Like, Emil apologized, he had the whole little dinner thing set up there, and, you know, they had their little drinks, they did a little flirty, they were having a good time, they were dancing, they were doing the whole little, you know, not Alice in Wonderland, Lady and the Tramp eating thing, but with, you know, KFC fried chicken. You know, they're doing cute little feeding each other food, and, you know, little pecks here and all that kind of stuff, cute little stuff. And then that led to them doing some more passionate kissing and whatnot. Like, it just slowly built itself up to this. Then we had the whole, we're gonna take this cake icing and use it as lubricant. Not my scene. Not, like I said, I feel like that's license. You're setting yourself up for catching something else. That last thing I'm gonna have a bitch do is put some cake icing all up in my hoo-ha. Not like, that's not how we roll. But you know what? Different strokes for different folks. I can't judge. But it felt like a more natural progression into the sexy time than that first. Like, this episode, while yes, it had its campy elements, a lot of what happened in this episode touched on like real topics, and it felt a little bit more grounded in reality. It felt a little bit more real than the past episodes have been. Like I said, still a little campy at times. Some of the soundtracking in the background can be a little over the top, a little heavy-handed, but overall this episode felt the realest out of the episodes that I've watched thus far. So I've enjoyed it the most for that aspect. And yeah, so we've just got to wait and see what happens. I think this series only had 7 episodes, so we've got 2 episodes left. So it's gonna have to wait and see where this series takes us. But I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on notifications so be notified when all my shenanigans get posted. If there's anything else you'd like me to react to, be sure to leave it down in the comments. I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways, you're more than welcome to join us over on Patreon. You don't have to, but you're more than welcome to if you want to. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Love ya. Mwah. And before you guys go, a shout out to my amazing patrons. I can't begin to express how thankful I am for your support. And if you guys would like to join us over on Patreon, the link is down in the description. I love you guys.